Environmental issues are defined as problems with the planet system, majorly air, water and soil that have developed as a result of human interference or mistreatment of the planet. Climate change and global warming due to human activities are among the most critical threats to the ecosystem. According to Simon Mitambo from African Biodiversity Network, ABN, it's high time humans appreciated the coexistence between them and nature.
Yeah, my name is Simon Mitambo. I work as a regional programs coordinator in ABN. My work is to coordinate work of ABN across Africa, in 12 African countries, where we work with the partner organizations. The weather or the climate change, in fact, the other day I was also reading that there is a low fertility also because of climate change. And there is a level where males cannot fertilize, or even where the males die. Of course, the climate change is a big thing about the existence. It is through climate change that these days we have lost a lot of biodiversity. According to the report by IPBES, it has shown that more than 1 million species of plant and animals are threatened by extinction. And in the last 50 years, we have seen a lot of loss of biodiversity. And this has actually been caused by the climate change. As much as we get from environment, there is ungovernance in terms of how we can also get this.
Though it works in 12 African countries, ABN is not restricted to Africa, and it's involved in reviving and revitalizing culture. And from this, there is a realization that our ancestral wisdom has a solution to the problems the humans and or the planet faces in the 21st century.
Our focus is in Africa, but we learn also from other continents like Latin America and other areas where we have indigenous communities who also have been having colonization there before. And what we have also seen in the context of the many pandemics and many challenges of climate change that face the modern society today, we have seen that the solutions that we need to have cannot only come from science alone. There is potential also to use our cultural heritage, our ancestral wisdom, also to find the solutions.
ABN works with like-minded partner organizations to subscribe to the philosophy of building a relationship with nature. But how does nature connect with culture? ABN also works with farmers to ensure seed enhancement without compromising genetic diversity.
There is a very direct connection between culture and the ecosystem. In fact, when we talk about indigenous knowledge, and when we talk about how the cultures have evolved also because of the learning from the environment. The way we work, we know that culture is also not static, and also indigenous knowledge is also not static. But what we try to do is to see that the Africans do not embrace things that food is the main cultural factor, and because most of the celebrations, cultural celebrations, center around food, for us, food is also sacred, because when we look at food, it is made from seed.
Even though cultural farming activities like pastoral grazing expose the ground to erosion and also destruction of vegetation due to overgrazing.
I think what we need for Maasai is just for the government to take a plan. We have a lot of land, of course, everywhere where these people can graze. This is working very well in Zimbabwe and some other African countries. So it's a question of how we plan our animals. It's not very much about them being animals, that's why we have an environmental degradation, but even how we graze.
As a country, what are some of the interventions towards sustaining a harmonious ecosystem, legislations, leadership, and of course, individual responsibility?
What I can see is that this process of trying to remember and revive our traditions is actually like a drop in the ocean, like you say. Yeah, the pollution through the air, through the soil, through the water is so enormous. You find that these days we have to get oxygen, which has always been very free. But also what we are realizing is that there is a crack also. Within the industrial system, there is a crack. Many people now are realizing the danger and the impact the use of chemicals is also having in our bodies. To the government, I wish we can make laws that are very responsive to our natural environment. And for example, during the time of late Michuki, may his soul rest in peace. He is one person who was very passionate about how we treat our environment. The problem with the way we pollute our environment is getting us to a very tipping point. The question about taking care of our environment and also living in a clean environment is a collective responsibility.
Corona has had a devastating impact on the continent and the world at large, but every cloud has a silver lining. What lessons do we draw from this pandemic, and what does the future hold for our planet Earth?
Corona came and then there was lockdown. I saw many people travel to the villages, and one of the effects of people traveling to the villages, it also meant that some of the factories were closed down. This actually, in essence, also meant that when you close the factories, the emission of the pollution and the carbon really went down by far, and it was a phenomenon where we found Nairobi River actually regenerating, and the water flow was very clean, and people in Nairobi could clearly see Mount Kenya because the emitted fog that we find in the air was at the same time reduced with the limitations of the flight. We have been able to cut a certain amount of carbon emission. What we can do to save our planet is to develop a relationship with our planet. It is to take time to listen to our planet, our ancestors, and the ways of communicating and hearing from the planet. So for me, I think the only way we can save planet is not to behave as if we are not part and parcel of nature. It's also to acknowledge that humans, we are part of nature.
African Biodiversity Network, ABN, has been on for many years, working in different countries to echo voices from indigenous communities to ensuring a sound ecosystem. For our planet, our pride, Eva Juma.